This is Larry Jordan, the host of the Digital Production Buzz. The following interview is an excerpt from a recent program. To hear the entire program, visit digitalproductionbuzz.com. Justin Thomson is an actor, a filmmaker, and a founder of Ashridge Films with over 20 years of acting experience. Recently, he moved from London to LA, and tonight we want to talk with him about the craft and business of acting. Welcome, Justin. Good to have you with us.
It's excellent to be here. Thank you.
Welcome. 20 years. Wait a minute. 20 years, that makes you what? You started when you were 2?
I started when I was 9.
Ah.
Yes.
So what got you started in acting?
2 things. Mainly, I found out that I got to kiss girls.
Yep.
And so I was told I was going to be all over that.
As a 9-year-old, I find that very hard to believe.
Well, he was
I
in London.
early, German, we develop early. Yeah.
So what are some of the projects you've worked on?
I did a lot of voiceover when I was a kid. Dubbing films, I did Independence Day, Stargate, tons of stuff like that.
Wow.
Then I did a few guest appearances on TV series. I even played Donald Trump on Quantum Leap. That was probably one of my
played
greatest.
Donald Trump?
I played a young Donald Trump. Yes, that was.
With really bad hair, because your hair is actually pretty good.
Well, what they did is they just cut it from here and then they implanted it in my ears. And I'm really sorry if he's watching this.
He's not.
That's more details than I really want to know. Thank you.
Yeah, that was good. And but it was funny as a child actor, I loved being on set, and that was one of the things that inspired me to actually continue in it. Was because I realized that when you make a film, it's kind of like a giant canvas with hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, all adding their brushstroke to the painting.
And everyone's supposedly collaborating.
Supposedly.
Yes.
And so, I started working basically every single job that I possibly could, once I was old enough. And I've been a PA, I worked as a grip, a gaffer, sound. I was a cameraman for 2 years. I traveled around the world. I actually worked with Jeff, who's going to be on the show. That was one of the things that I learned the most. As an actor, by far, was working with Jeff. I was his assistant. And it was...
Were you able to, because we're talking about the Jeff being a casting director, were you able to be in the audition process and watch other actors? Because you can learn so much from that.
I was very, very fortunate. So there was a really amazing filmmaker, a producer, John Brister, and he was working on a film, and he's always been my mentor. And he said, Justin, as an actor, there's one thing I want you to do. I think work in casting and understand it, because for actors it's this big mystery, like a black box. You go into the audition, you come out, and then you're totally nervous and you're like, why didn't I get the job?
Right.
So as an actor, what did you learn from that? What piece of advice can you share with other actors?
So the biggest thing that I can share is realizing that it's all about persistence. If you love what you do, you need to love acting in order to do it. That's why whenever anybody asks me what I do, I just tell them I'm a waiter in denial. It's so true.
I like that. It's a good line.
Yeah. But it's very important to understand that there's a shape that each director and each producer is looking for. And usually the best actor doesn't actually get the job. It's whoever matches the shape the most. And eventually, if you're persistent and you're good, reasonably good enough at your craft, then your shape will come along. And then
now, what do you mean by shape? It's more than just look, isn't it?
No, it's look, it's attitude, it's whatever it is, charisma. But unfortunately, a lot of it is kind of based on look, because they have they have something in their mind that they're picturing. So it was huge.
A lot of it never has to do with you or your performance, which could have been brilliant and more brilliant than the other people. But if you're not right for the part, you're not going to get it.
Exactly.
It's as simple as that.
Exactly.
So don't take it personal.
100%.
So what got you interested in improv? Because you've been doing mime work and improv work for a long time. That's like the ragged edge of acting.
It's a place of convenience for those that aren't very good at remembering lines. I found it actually influenced my life very early on. I gave a TED Talk on this last year.
You gave a TED Talk?
I did, TEDx.
Oh, but still, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. And
so we can look it up. We just Google your name, TED Talk, and
you go to YouTube.
I'm going to watch that
Justin
tonight.
Thomson,
I will call you after it's over. We'll talk about it.
Please do,
right.
Or you can just hit me up on Tinder. That's
okay,
fine. That works
right.
too.
When you guys are done, let's just go on with the show here.
Have you done a TED Talk? I mean, he's done a TED Talk. That's pretty cool. You should do a TED Talk.
I should.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Me? No.
You could talk about coiling cables and codecs.
I could.
But we would probably not listen to it. What?
It's an inside joke.
Take charge of this, would you? Because this is just
right.
gone off the rails already.
So you asked why improvisation has become a big part of my life. And it actually was, one, I loved it in acting because it forced rapid thinking. Sure. And there's one rule in improvisation, and that's never to deny. Always say yes and. So contribute to whatever the situation is. And that, I realized, applies totally in life. If in your, something comes across your path in life, somebody gives you an opportunity, like when, John Brister said, hey, I would like you to work with Jeff Gerard, instead of me going, no, I don't really want to do that. I just really want to be auditioning and doing other things. I said yes to it, and it totally expanded my horizon. Because when you say yes to things, there are all these opportunities that exist. The second you say no, they disappear. So improv actually influenced my life in a massive way.
Well, an interesting thing, as I was reflecting on this, one of the things that I've learned in my own directing is that many times drama is not in the person speaking, but in the person reacting to the person speaking. And improv is all about reacting to external forces.
Yes.
Is that a true statement?
It's absolutely a true statement. The most important bit of advice that I give to any actor, not just in improvisation, but in theater and stage and in film, television, it's listening. If you're too much in your head, you miss every little grain or gift that's given that might be even a mistake, but could be turned into something really amazing. So if you're too focused on yourself, then you're going to lose the real essence of it. Because that's what life is. It's listening and communicating. Meaning
that rather than trying to think about what your next line is, think about what's happening around you.
Exactly. And the line will naturally occur because it's a response. The dialogue has been written as a response. And so it's intuitively inside of you. Yeah.
Well, who should the actor listen to? Is it other actors or the director or the audience, or what are you picking up on?
The studio executive. Always listen to the studio executive. Whatever he says, they're great. It's a collaboration. Obviously, actors and directors, it's a dance because you don't want to just do, I think a bad director is somebody who's trying to control every moment, say, okay, do this and then do this and do that. And that's not how it should be. A good director, I've found, gives waypoints where you should ultimately achieve. And how the actor gets there is his choice. But get to that emotion, get to that spot, whatever it is.
A good director casts well and then pretty much leaves you alone and trusts you.
The best director that I ever worked with was Michael Winterbottom. And he's done some amazing films. And his process was basically he'd say, okay, this is our ultimate destination where we want to go in the scene. There's a lot of improvisation in all of his films. But he always stood on the side and he just gave gentle guidance, kind of like being a lighthouse off in the distance. So you never lost your way as an actor in the scene. Yeah.
Well, that speaks to something else. How does an actor learn to trust a director? Because you're the one that's exposed. It's your face that's on the screen, and yet it's the director's vision. There's got to be, that's a really fine line to walk.
I think it happens, obviously, before the production occurs. Depending on the style or what the production is. If you're doing a student film, obviously, you don't have the luxury of, 3 weeks of prep and rehearsal and reading at the table.
Rehearsal?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, rehearsal? Say that word again.
Rehearsal, exactly. But it's just a dance. I mean, I don't know. It's like a first time you go on a date. You can never dictate exactly how it's going to go. But you have to trust in each other that you each have a strong enough vision and points that you can give and take.
I was reflecting, this is the third time you've been on the show.
Yes.
You were on in 2010 when we were talking about the fact you had just moved to London.
Yes.
Then in 2013, we were doing the Bestival.
Yes.
In 2014, you've abandoned London, come back to L.A. What brings you back to L.A.?
It's March and it's 80
Pilot
degrees
season.
outside. It's a few different factors. I love London. London, there's that saying, he who's tired of London is tired of life. But as far as working in front of the camera or just working in film in general, the absolute epicenter is Los Angeles, is California, for creativity and for everything. There's a fantastic work ethic in London. It's not so unionized. It's a smaller industry. So once you make friends, you're in, and it's a great place to work. But if you want to really take it to the next level, and especially for actors, I think you need to be here. Unless you want to do.
Have you found your circle of friends here yet, or did you just move back and now I'm finding them?
You are my friend.
Okay, good.
Both of you, I will.
Well, your circle is very tight right now, but hopefully it'll expand in the next
That's
month.
all I need.
Yeah. You have to live at the right apartment complex, too.
That's actually true. And drive the right car.
And drive the right car.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is there a difference in acting between London and L.A.?
Yes.
How so?
Really?
Yeah, big time, actually.
Okay. I'd love to hear this. All right.
So obviously theater, you need to be in London or New York. Those are the two places. Now, when it comes to auditioning, this is one of the things that I learned from casting. And a lot of my British friends who are actors who would come here for pilot season were always shocked because you're taught to be totally off book. In the UK, when you go into an audition, you need to know your lines dead. And here, even if you have it memorized, there's this whole technique where people say, actually bring the sides in and occasionally glance down and act like you're reading it, because then it allows the casting director or the director or the producer to believe that, oh, well, if he's this good, while he's just kind of cold reading, imagine how good he'll be off book. So it's just little things like that.
Huh. I was never off book in auditions. Ever.
Really?
No. Well, you would get like 4 or 5 auditions a day. There's no way in the world you could especially if it was a 12-page audition, there was no way that you can do it. So you'd have to bring the things in. And you were always reading really, really bad stuff where improvisation comes in big time, so you just change it.
Yes, that's very true. Well, but it's in the UK, it's such a craft. I mean, it's a 4-year degree. Most of you don't just like, oh, here everybody's like hop on the Greyhound, come out to LA, and you're suddenly an actor. There, you need to go to RADA. You need to go to all the right schools.
Did you go to the schools in London?
I never went to school.
Okay.
I was homeschooled my whole life.
All right.
So I can't read or write.
That's right.
Yeah.
But you do know math and science. And coding.
Yes.
And coding.
I want to shift
Good job,
gears.
Mom.
Yes.
I want to shift gears before Mike runs us completely out of time.
Sure.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Larry.
Is it my turn now?
Yeah.
I want to talk about the business of acting. I mean, you've been surviving as an actor for 20 years, and the stories of the starving actor and low pay of actors are legendary. What are some of the key business things that you've learned to keep your career moving forward, to keep yourself fed and keep growing in new parts and new tasks and challenges?
2 things. People need to realize that actors, you are a brand. You are your own company. You are your face, everything. And brand is everything. And even for Coca-Cola, whatever it is. But now is the best time ever to be an actor, I think, because the barriers to entry are 0.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that I learned at a young age was, start creating your own content, because it's a lot easier. It was a lot easier for me to hire myself than try to get hired to do a job. So I'd find people that I like to work with that collaborated well together, and we'd create stuff.
But allow me to play devil's advocate.
Sure.
It is absolutely easy to get stuff on the web and get distribution, but that's not the same thing as earning a living at it. There's millions of people that post videos that get nothing from it. Your job as an actor is not just simply to act, but to earn a living. There's a big difference between access to content at low cost and earning a living.
Yeah, but that content that he's creating, rather than sitting around and having somebody else be part of that content that's being created, he's creating content. Those people can see it and see what he can do, and then he can get hired for that. And that's what you mean about that entry level. Because he's doing it. Ashridge Films, he's already doing it, and good on you. Because a lot of people are still going through that process of auditioning and trying to get the roles. No, go out and create your own content while you're auditioning.
It's a matter of being proactive, and then also you still have to be talented.
Yes.
It comes down to that. You can't just fake it. No matter how much auto-tuning or iMovie pre-edit you have there, you still have to have talent. But you can learn faster, and you don't have that barrier to entry, so that if you are talented, you don't have to know the guy or be the son of the director who's the studio executive, whatever. You can actually get it out there and get a following and get your voice heard.
So how do you market yourself to get gigs that pay money as opposed to simply get your face on the web?
Well, no, that's a good balance. I mean, you have people creating Vines now who are getting millions of dollars because they have a ton of followers, and that some branding person that has value to them. So the most important thing is do it because you love it. Don't do it because you want to make money at it. Do it, do enough that you can survive. And I think I'm quite an optimistic person that you can ultimately achieve those things if you're passionate and love it. You'll always find a path.
And that's why we're doing what we're doing, Larry, because we're passionate about it. We love it.
Well, and you're an amazing example. I mean, look at what you've created. You've created something amazing.
Exactly.
Here from what, I mean, it's awesome.
You might have hired the wrong partner, but
that's all right. That can be CGI'd out. Don't worry.
Yeah, we can put in a different face if we need to. What do you find is the best way to promote your career? Is it the web? Is it demo reels? Is it face-to-face meetings with agents? What is it that generates business?
I hate to say it because I used to hate it as a kid, but it's who you know. It's who your friends are. So because that's how I give jobs or how I get jobs. It's because people I've worked with that I like to work with. I mean, that is the ultimate way to do it. And then there's a tipping point. Once you have enough content that's good, then naturally things start, outside influence, or somebody says, hey, I worked with this guy. He did this really amazing film for Bestival. Why don't you work together? So.
Yeah, we need to actually bring him back and talk more about it. If you go to his website and click on FX3, we need to talk about that. It has nothing to do with his face. It has nothing to do with putting his face out there. It has everything to do with this new technology, this 360-degree, almost virtual reality sort of technology that he is doing right now, and hopefully making money at.
Well, one of the things I'm interested about is that your website doesn't have your face on it. Doesn't
No,
have
it has
your
nothing
email
about
address
him.
on it. Doesn't even have a demo reel
Nope.
on it. It's understated to the point of invisibility. How come?
So Ashridge Films primarily came out of I was developing a program for BBC, in which I did put my face in it.
Oh.
But it was primarily focused for just content creation. So I think you can there's a balance between either saying, okay, I am Justin Thomson Productions and everything about that, or this is my production company and this is my acting side of it. So, if you go onto IMDb, you see plenty of the films and projects that I've worked on. But when it comes to content creation, I don't want one thing to distract from the other.
By the way, are these your eyes?
Those are not my eyes. That was a photograph that I took in Bhutan.
Oh, you went to Bhutan?
I went to Bhutan
God,
many years
I always
ago,
wanted to do that.
and for a project, and yeah, so I love those eyes.
When should an actor who's been doing work on the web get an agent?
So it's interesting because nowadays you don't necessarily need to have an agent. Again, the barriers of entry are totally gone. I know this sounds weird, but so many casting directors, like when we were just at the edge of it when I was working with Jeff Gerard, Actors Access, Showfax, the actors have access to those, and more. I mean, we did a campaign for a very large franchise. I don't know if I can say the name, in which we were looking for somebody, and we scoured the nation to find it, and we ultimately found it because I posted something on Craigslist, and then somebody came in. So agents are good because they have some relationships with casting directors, so you have a little bit better chance to get in. But the fact is, if you don't let it be a barrier to pursuing your passion.
Where can people go to learn more about the acting and work that you're doing? We're on the web.
Well, Google knows everything about me, so you can go onto Google, put in Justin Thomson, or you go to IMDb for acting, and then ashridgefilms.com for content.
That's Ashridge.
Ashridge Films, all one word. Justin Thomson's the face you've been looking to. Justin, thanks for joining us.
Love being here.
Thanks, Justin. That was great.